All right, welcome to the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today is Tuesday, February 9th. Already in the second week of February. A lot going on. We got the CBA agreement between the MLS and MLS Players Association. They finally agreed. Looks like the season's going to start on time and may get pushed back a little bit. But today we're talking LA Galaxy, and here to help me talk LA Galaxy, we got John Rojas. John, how you doing?
Hey Gio, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know you've been out in Colombia. You've been traveling. So how was your trip out there?
Good. I mean, what we actually did was creating our own bubble and trying a little bit of taking advantage of this, working from home situation and a schooling from home situation. So what we did was we were on the country. We got a country house, and some family members got there. We all got tested, and then we spent most of the holidays there with the kids going to school, online and all that. So it was easy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, especially to be with family. How long were you out there?
2 months.
2 months? Oh
Yeah.
man, you can't beat that then. Yeah, I kept seeing your photos of you like grilling out there, and I was like, that doesn't look like anywhere in Boston. And then when I texted you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm in Colombia, and I was like, oh okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. We got there the week before Thanksgiving, and we came back around January 16 or something. So the idea was exactly that, just getting out before all the rush of the holiday and coming back after the rush of the holidays. And like I said, I mean, the kids went to school online from there. My wife worked from there. I went to the National Coaches Association in January online too. So it was good.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's one of the benefits of living in 2020, right? We can just do everything online and through Zoom, and exactly just record this podcast how we're doing.
Exactly.
Um,
Even from the middle of Dignity Health.
yeah, I was gonna say I gotta give a shout out to your background. You're in the middle of Dignity Health Sports Park. I was looking at that and I was like, okay, there we go. We're talking LA Galaxy. Got to get the LA, got to get Dignity Health Sports Park in the
uh,
background. From the corner
yeah.
shot. I like it. It
Listen,
goes. It goes.
Vicky and Chris came down to turn on the lights for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They did. LA Galaxy PR came on and turned. They took a while, but they finally turned on the lights. For you. But us talk about the MLS and MLSPA. They just so we'll talk about it a little bit. We don't need to get into the details and everything. But they ratify the collective bargaining agreement. I mean, the big topic though that was in discussion was to push it back to 2027, and for the reason the speculation was because there were the league and the U.S. as a country in North America was going to get a bump from the 2026 World Cup, and some speculated that the owners wanted to push it back so they could essentially profit, keep most of those profits, and not necessarily have to deal with the new bargain agreement if it was ended in 2026. It looks like that's the case. It looks like the owners got what they wanted out of this deal, and on the other side, players also feel like they got what they wanted out of this deal. But it really seems like the players, at least to me, gave up a little bit more than what the owners really did, and it didn't really look like the owners really had to give up much. And we also got to talk about, there's some players that make about 60,000. Some players are still living paycheck to paycheck. So, being pressured into a lockout was not an ideal thing. So, what are your overall thoughts of the CBA?
Yeah, I mean, if you had to declare a winner, it has to be the owners. I mean, they had the upper hand on this. They made the players sat down on the table three times, basically in a period of a year, or you can almost say that less than a year, and that's not good for any kind of agreement or any kind of relationship between owners and employees. It's not okay to do that. I mean, I don't think that's good. And when you're talking about uh, sports people, when you're talking about players, when you're talking about people that is making money out of this industry, is just the big gap between the regular amount of players, the players that are like at the base of the league, and of course the top earner is really big. And in that sense, I mean, yes, they're getting something, especially not having to to agree to any kind of salary cuts during this year. They already agreed to salary cuts during 2020. Remember that? But it looks like for them, at the end of the day, it was more important to keep the money coming into their houses, to their families in this pandemic and in this situation, and not, risking the the small steps that they gain through the years with these kind of negotiations. I mean, of course, the league is priding themselves in the fact that during the years of the existence of the MLS player associations, they not having any kind of disruption, or at least not a strike. But in the sense of the players, I mean, they're winning, but they're winning too little. It's too
Yeah.
slow. It's too slow of a process to gain something, to gain recognition.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And I think it would be different, right? If you had some of the bigger stars in this league, if they voice their opinion. But and I
And
don't,
some
to
of
be
they
honest.
did, Gio, remember. Some of they did at some point. I remember very clearly. Fran Lampard mentioned it publicly. Wayne Rooney said it, publicly. I mean, the regular players in MLS are earning too little.
Yeah.
That's nothing. I mean, you're talking about a top athlete that is earning, $65,000 a year. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not
I'm
much.
talking about right now. If you would have had, I don't need to name any names, but we all can assume who the big name players are in MLS, right? And I feel like if they were to come out and voice their opinion and say, "Hey, this is not what we want. Let the players play. We don't need to push back." That's what you see in other leagues. And I'm not saying that's what they needed to do, but I feel like if that were to happen, then some of those owners that are from those teams may not have been as aggressive. But I don't think the owners really had any pressure, and I don't think it's for the players necessarily to do that. But if you have a star player, I'm with you. What Wayne Rooney said, but Wayne Rooney is no longer in the in the MLS, right?
Right.
But if he were to be here and he were to voice his opinion and say that, then I think a lot of people would look at it different. And on the other hand, I think the players that are currently playing right now in the MLS, they may not be playing in the MLS in 2027. So they're just gonna look out for themselves. Hey, I want to make sure I get my paycheck now.
Well,
I
that's
want
yeah, but that's basically one of the of the theories, or one of the strong points that the league was trying to use, to convince the players association on extending this deal until 2027, because exactly that. I mean, you're sitting with one of the guys. Listen, you get what you get, and do not get upset, like you say to the kids. But at the same time, think about that. You're not gonna be here probably for those last 2 years of the contract. So instead of fighting this kind of fight that is not gonna benefit anyone, you holding your point strong, and let the next generation, or the next round of players do their job too, in terms of deciding what they want to have and get and give out. And for some reason, it makes sense for some people, and for others it's just there's no way to win against the owners. I mean, the owners are rich people, and if they go to a strike or lockout, they don't have to pay players, so they save money. And if they get what they want, which is the extension of the contract, then they're winning because they get what they want. So they're winning with both faces.
Yeah, and definitely looked that way, and definitely looked like the players were playing defense in this whole
Yeah,
situation. And I also,
survival mode.
yeah, and also feel like it's hard to get that many different players all together, right? Because you got players from South America, you got players from different. They may not be used to what's going on here in the United States with the collective bargain agreement, and some players may be like, I want to make sure I get my paycheck, and other players like, what, for the long haul, it makes sense for us to hold out. And I think that the league really knew, their owners really knew that they had controlled this whole situation, because they understood that they maybe 700 players or whatever the number of players are may have not come together and been like, you know what, no, this is not what we want to do, we don't want to stall. But everything that I saw that was being reported out there, that, you know, looked like that players were going to hold their ground and hold firm. um I didn't, I was surprised that it extended to 2027. I was expecting maybe 2026, but it really showed me how much power the owners really do have in the MLS, right?
Yeah.
And also the disconnect that from the MLSPA and the players of really understanding what this really comes down to, because down the line, it's where you're going to make the profits, right? And the owners are going
Right.
to benefit all of that. The players right now may not really understand, because you know what, they may not care, because they're not going to be playing in the MLS in 2027. They may not do that. So there's a lot going into it, but I just think that in the long run, you know, I feel like the players did sell themselves a little too short because of what's going to happen in 2026 with the World
Yeah, it's
Cup.
not easy, Gio, and it's not easy to, you know, to play either, you know, in favor or devil's advocate with others people money. You know, it's hard. Even talking about the wealthy and rich
Yeah,
owners,
but
it's their money,
yeah, but
and
the
you know,
owners did that though. I'm not
oh
saying, you know,
yeah, but no, no,
the
no. I'm
owners
saying
like,
it.
we're gonna lock you out. I get
Mhm.
what you're saying, but the owners are, to make that point. The owners are the ones that are gonna lock them out. I don't. I'm with you. Like, hey, if the players want to play, and this is a situation, but I think if you look at the grand scheme of things, the reason why the owners were pushing to 2027 was because of that 2026 bump.
Well,
And if this is
it's
what the
yeah,
players want to
and
do,
not only that. I mean, pushing the cut that they're gonna distribute with the players after the new agreement or negotiation that they had to make in 2022 for the TV rights. That's important for them. You know, they pushing that agreement to one more year. So instead of receiving like I think it was 20 something, 25%.
25%, they cut it down to 12
Now
and a
they're
half.
gonna 12.5. Yeah. So and instead of being on 2022, it's gonna be beginning on 2023. Correct.
Yeah.
So
So
it's all about money, and then you got to take into consideration that the diversity of owners right now in MLS is is in favor of these kind of situations and these kind of deals, because you have more owners that at the same time are part owners or part of a group that owns different kind of sports entities, NFL teams or soccer teams in England, that kind of stuff. So those owners know how this kind of situations work a little bit more than older owners or the older group of owners in MLS that used to be just like local owners of the league. It's totally different, because at the end of the day, yes, and I'm totally pro players, and they, again, if someone lost here, they were the ones who lost the most. But if we're talking about the soccer world, in most places, you know, whatever the owner says is what it goes. Period. There's not even a chance to fight for a collective bargain in many places, in many leagues.
yeah,
So
but I think in the US, I think what we're used to, right? We're used to the NBA, we're used to the NFL, we're used to the MLB, um, and just covering those are a little bit more united as players, and and the Players Association, they're more united, and like the NBA, right? The MLS is not there, but in the NBA, for example, they split 50-50 when it comes to
oh no, no, totally. But
rights. It's
the
split
amount of
50.
years that they have, fighting for that is, you can't compare with the amount of years that MLS
No,
players
no,
have been
I can
fighting for that. But listen, if you want to find another way to win on this for the players in the long picture and the big picture, is look at the amount of support, right? That the Players Association had from those Players Association, from
yeah.
MLB, NHL, WNBA, NBA, right? So they are being recognized now. I mean, in prior negotiations, MLS players didn't exist for their counterparts in other leagues, in other games. So I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm with you.
important too.
I think we're saying the same thing, but I think the biggest thing that surprised me was that the 2027,
Yeah.
and it just really
Well, they play
because of
dirty. That's the
because of
fact.
yeah, because of what was coming out, what was big. And this is the reason why MLSPA wasn't signing the agreement, because they wanted to push it back to 2027.
Mhm.
That's why it got pushed back. Kept getting pushed back, and I think that's what surprised me the most. And I think moving forward, I hope that if this is what they agreed on, this is what agreed on, but they still have a forged majority clause that they could invoke. And if they
Right.
invoke it again, if they say the owners invoke it again, then like how you started this conversation is, we already went 3 times within a year to go back into negotiations. And if the owners try to get more, say a year from now, then I then it just proves another point that the owners really control everything. And it's going to come to a point that I feel like, if the owners do invoke it again, I think you got to look at, if you're the MLSPA, you got to be like, we have to be willing to go on strike, because
Mhm.
they're starting to take more of the pie. I hope
Mhm.
it doesn't get to that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. And it is tricky, right? It is the newest league in pro sports, and here in America. But I just really felt that from what was being reported and everything like that, that 2027 was not going to be on was not on the deal for the owners. Then the news comes out, and I think that's what kind of just confused everybody. And it really did make it seem like the owners didn't really give up too much in this deal. But nevertheless, that's
No.
the situation. And
Yeah.
that's what happened. And we're gonna have the season start, and it may get pushed back by a week or so. I think that's what they're saying. So
Most likely, yeah.
yeah, we'll find out. Right now, it's speculated to start February 22nd, to start workouts and everything. But I think if that gets pushed back to potentially March or the 28th, and then the
Mhm.
season may get pushed back, because I think they gotta build the schedules. They got to do a lot of different things with that.
Yep.
But we're here to talk LA Galaxy. There's been a lot of things going on. Let's talk about Chicharito and Jonathan Dos Santos. What do you make of them? Obviously, we know what happened with Chicharito last season. We know what happened with Jonathan Dos Santos. He went down with an injury. What are your overall thoughts about them and some of the things you're seeing online from those two?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to predict, but what you can see, you can see one thing, and you have to expect another thing. One thing that you can, what can you see is this: you can see lately, for the kind of press that he's having, and his social media presence and all that, Chicharito is, working out, committed to be ready, uh, all in force to return to the LA Galaxy. Not only the support, but the money that they're paying for him and all that, and he's probably focused. But at the same time, his personal situation looks like it's not in the right place, right? And one of the big things that he mentioned last year as distraction was his personal situation, in the sense of, he was expecting a kid, right? He was moving his family. He was settling into a new environment, all that. And all of a sudden, it looks like he's alone, and he's hanging out with new people and all that stuff. So you don't want the players to be distracted by their private life in that social matter. I mean, those kind of the players that are really consistent and all that are players that are settled, either settled with their own, being single and with their families and stuff, or settled because they have their own families, taking care of the kids and the wife and all that, and building a family. So in that sense, it's a little bit of a question mark there. But the only thing that is true is that he needs, for himself, for his career, for his pride, for his namesake, for the LA Galaxy to have a real good season, and that's what the team is expecting him to have.
Yeah, and I think
Now,
I think I think outside his personal life, I think mentally all that was distracting him, right? Whatever was going on in the household or whatever. We don't need to get into that, but I think that was a distraction. Now it looks like he's mentally better. He's looking physically better, and there's a lot of expectations, right? I think there's a lot of expectations. He's even posted on Instagram that his big goal with the Galaxy this season is to win the MLS Cup. Now that's a big goal, right? I mean, if you ask some people, they may say, yeah, right. Other people are like, yeah, he should have those aspirations, but I think you want a player that you saw that was really low last season, and I think you're starting to see a player that's coming out of there. You're like I said, he's working out consistently. He's saying the right things. He's posting about the team, and I think if you're LA Galaxy, you have to be optimistic, right? I think now the next thing is once the season starts and the production on the field and the continuity with his teammates and everything like that. I think that's the next bigger question. But I think everything that we're seeing right now where he looks physically and I think where he is mentally, he looks like to be in a lot better place than he was, 5-6 months ago, you know?
Yeah, at the end of the day, what is going to speak from for him is his game, right? And the way that he gels with the team and everything inside the field around the team and his performance at the end of the day. So, and that's something that you only have to wait and see because nobody can predict anything. I mean, he can do his best preseason ever, and he may get injured, in preseason or the first game, and that blows everything out. So it's just
Yeah.
about right now for him. Is the case with him is that right now with him it's all about results.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's definitely fair to say. I think at this point, it is once the season starts, everything is about the results. You want to see positive results and you want to see him impact the game where he didn't last season. Now let's talk about Jonathan Dos Santos. Jonathan Dos Santos he also had a difficult year towards the end of the season. He got injured. He wasn't really there for the team physically. And he just won, I think, in an interview last week with LA Times that he said he thought about retiring. I don't know if you saw that, but he said he thought about retiring after last season because of the injury. He didn't know if he could get back to his level. Obviously, we know that didn't happen. He's back with the LA Galaxy. Looks like this may be his last year on his contract for Jonathan Dos Santos. He's said that he wants to retire with the LA Galaxy. What are your thoughts about Jonathan Dos Santos?
Uh, that's another question mark, but it's more outside of the field than on the field. I mean, when he is healthy, when Jonathan is healthy, he is one of the best players on the team. I mean, he's hard, not only his technicality and the ground that he covers and his work ethic is just, you see it, it's there. The only thing that he needs is to be healthy. And then to be healthy, he needs, to take care of his private life. That's probably one of the big things. And it's all on him. I mean, I don't think I mean, the thought about retiring, I think, just comes out of frustration because he wanted to be there. He wanted to help the team. He understood at that point that he was being the captain and he needed to be on the field as much as he could. But then he gets injured and injured and injured, right? And out of frustration comes this thought, but I don't think he will actually contemplate, like, sit down actually more than 2 days and think about retiring. This 2021 is going to be definitely his last year on contract. So it's up to him. I mean, if he really wants to retire, I'm not sure if he wants to retire with LA Galaxy. I mean, I think that if he performs this year, his body responds well, he probably gonna try to play at least 1 or 2 more years, and then it has to be determined. It has to be decided by him and the team if they want to bring him back. Probably not at the same level and amount of salary, but it's going to be as soon as the season starts and depending on how his body is responding, those thoughts of retiring from 2 months ago are going to start on start negotiations to renew his contract or going somewhere else. I think that he has in him the working mentality and the work ethic and the desire to play.
Yeah, and I think that the big question, right, is if he does come back, do you bring him back as a DP or
No.
would you? Is it
No.
Tam? As simple as Tam?
Maybe.
Tam. But pay have that spot open for someone else.
Yeah, of course.
Someone. Yeah, I think that's fair to say because I think unfortunate because of his injuries, unfortunate because of the lack of production, because of his injuries. I think some fans, may want someone else, and I think they want someone else that's available without being injuries, right? And injuries are something you can't predict. Some players are more prone to other things, and other players are not. And I think that's the biggest discussion when it comes to Jonathan Dos Santos. Can he stay healthy? A lot of people say he can stay healthy for the Mexican national team, but he can't stay healthy for the LA Galaxy. I don't know how true that is. I know he's denied that, but I think that's what it's going to come down to. And we see players when they're in their last year, they typically have the best season. And I
Mhm.
expect that Jonathan Dos Santos knows he needs to perform if he wants to stay with the LA Galaxy. Now, I think to your point, I don't know if you're the LA Galaxy. I don't think you bring him back as a DP. You bring him back for less money to
Of
make
course.
sense. But I don't think after the season, unless you see something spectacular that
No,
him and someone
not
else,
even. Not even.
not even John's
No.
John's on the John's not even giving him a shot. But I
No,
think
and then you have to look Gio at the whole picture, right? I mean, Greg Bunny, yes, of course, LA Galaxy needs to be on top, and one of the big needs of LA Galaxy right now is a trophy. But at the end of the day, he's there to create a process, right?
mhm.
And if you want a process, you need to start getting players that are going to be there on those kind of positions that are key for the game for 5 years at least, right?
To build the foundation for the team.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So you're not going to get a guy like Jonathan for 1 more year, 2 more years as a DP or as a big time money, and then you blocking the way for a guy that you need there for more time, right? You need to create that system and that process. So I think in Greg Bunny's head right now, those are the players that are going to be part of holding the process to get something quick in terms of results, because they are the players that have, maturity and experience, and he should and will probably rely on them in the hard moments of the season. But those are the players that are going to be surrounded by those pieces that are going to, at the end of the day, being the foundation and the process of that team on the future. So
Yeah, and I definitely do see that. If the DP is moving forward with Greg Vanny, is going to be those foundational pieces. I think unfortunately, Jonah Dos Santos coming down the road with the LA Galaxy, and I don't know how much longer it will be after this season.
yeah.
But
Plus,
I think nevertheless, he's going to have to perform. He's going to have to be healthy to still have somewhat of a future with the LA Galaxy.
plus,
Now that
have this
now,
in mind. Sorry, just to close that idea, because uh, all those elements are really important at the moment to define what you're going to do with those kind of players. Your two DPs are uh, international players, right? Your two DPs are uh, experienced players. And I'm not going to say all players, but are experienced players, correct?
Mhm.
Now, with the new agreement, if a team brings a 21-year-old or younger player, the charge on the budget is less. So basically, with those numbers, you can bring 3 players up to 21-year-old, and you're not spending as much money as a one DP. You see? So why are you going to hold on to those players to pay them more when you can bring? Listen, you go to South America, you go to Mexico, you go some places in Europe. You can bring a 21-year-old with 20, 30, 50, even 100 professional games already. Okay, and then you're not using a DP money, and plus this guy is 21, so in 2 years you can actually get your money back if the guy performs, at a high level. So it doesn't make sense to actually hold on to those players for much longer. The DPs that you have right now with 31, 29, 32, you know?
Yeah. I think yeah, I'm with you. I think I just on one of those things. I think we've seen that Greg Vanny likes well, from Toronto, he likes veteran players, right? He wants veteran, and I'm with you, and I like I like your point that that you can get a lot of younger talent with this new collective bargaining agreement for a lot less than someone that you're playing with a lot more. And I'm with you. I don't think Jonathan Dos Santos is worth DP money after this year, but if you can get a younger player, and bring him in and help build that foundation. With that. And then the another thing, Jonathan Dos Santos and Chicharito last season, I think only played about 30% of the games because of injuries and because of everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you want players that play, up to like 80, 90, 100% of the games, like Cristian Pavon did for the LA Galaxy. And those are the type of players that you want to build your foundation on. Speaking of Cristian Pavon, there, as of right now, I believe that LA Galaxy are still interested in Cristian Pavon. There's still a lot of things going on these last couple months, following around. I've been told that, Cristian Pavon is going to have a surgery for his fibrosis, because he apparently he had an exhibition game against Talleres over the weekend, and then he wasn't able to go to practice yesterday because of the pain. And I think the soccer council in Boca
Yeah, no,
finalized
he's
it.
not. He's not finishing any practice without pain. Every time, it's not just the weekend. Every time he practices, he's finishing with pain. And then, yes, he's trying to work it out with some treatment and right. But on Sunday when he played, on Saturday when he played, he came out again, almost in, limping because the pain is too much. And he has been told already that he needs to go to surgery. And now the team just is pushing him. I mean, don't fool around with this. You need to do it, period. Um, and that's actually one of the things that may play in favor of LA Galaxy,
Yeah.
because his recovery is going to take probably around 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
There's no offers for him anywhere from anywhere else. LA Galaxy is still interested. So, there are ways for LA Galaxy to get there and to get a player that it's important. I mean, listen, in this transfer market with, pandemic and everything that is happening, you need players that understand and know the team, the league, the environment. Yes, you can, of course, bring new players, but there's a risk, there's a chance. It all depends on what you have already around, as a foundation for the club. Minnesota United is a team that is just, turning out that roster for like 3 years, and now they're getting different kind of players. Cincinnati, same thing. They got this young Brazilian guy today, announced it today, but they got a big foundation there. It doesn't happen with LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy doesn't have a big foundation. LA Galaxy is actually in the process of turning the roster around. So you need to bring players if you want results quickly, or you're gonna take. I don't think that that's something. It's something that fits to LA Galaxy profile, and even less right now to say, all right, we're gonna take this season, turn the roster around, and focus on winning, right, on the following year. No, LA Galaxy needs to be in the final on 2021. Period. So for that, you need some players of that caliber. Now the other thing with Pavon is Boca is still Boca had a real messy business and massive deal when they brought Pavon in, okay? Because they got into this agreement with the prior team, with Talleres de Córdoba, and in which they will take the player and Talleres will keep a percentage of a future transaction, correct? Mm-hmm. But Boca pay upfront that cut without, just having the player and signing for a future transaction. They pay upfront $3 million. So when Boca changed the front office, the management, the president, and all the board, they look at this and say, why are we doing this? That money is not in our balance because it's money that we shouldn't be paying. The process here is, as always happens, the player plays with us, and when we sell the player, then we transfer that money, right? But they were so secure and convinced that Pavon will go to the World Cup and will do such a World Cup that they will sell him for probably 4 or 5 times the price, the tag price that they pay for. So they pay in advance those $3 million. And those $3 million are in red on Boca's book. So they need that money.
So whatever, so we're just saying they're in the negative 3 million. So whatever essentially the LA Galaxy offers them, let's say what it's been speculated, that's what I've been told, it's been $6 million. So essentially they would only get $3 million.
Correct.
That's what you're saying, right? So
that's why they push it and pushing to get that 20 million. That is not, in any player contract. If you actually value the player, you have to put a high number as a clause for a team to get him away, because what that clause means is not a negotiation. If I'm a team and I want the player, I put 20 million and I tell the player, I don't need to talk to you. Goodbye. That's on the contract. That's why the clause is so high, to protect your interests as a team. Correct? Yeah. Now, if we're going to get into a negotiation, then that's a different story.
Yeah. But we know now that ended, right? That ended December 31st. And I know Boca's still using that clause, the $20 million clause. But, to your point, no European clubs this last transfer window showed any interest, right?
No,
and that spoke volumes.
As of today, he has no interest for anything, not Europeans, Brazilians, Mexicans. He has no interest for any club right now.
Exactly. So,
and he already told Boca that he doesn't want to play there. That he doesn't want to play.
Let me just get my point. I think the biggest thing is, right, I think everybody out here, and what I was thinking, I was like, all right, let me see this winter transfer window. Let me see if there is big money, because if you're thinking of big money spenders, you're thinking of teams in Europe, right? I'm not really thinking about teams in South America. I'm not really thinking MLS teams necessarily outside of LA Galaxy. So I wanted to see if any European teams were going to bid for Pavon, and they didn't. I mean, nothing that I read, I didn't see anything like that. Nothing. So that tells me that, LA Galaxy are the ones that are kind of holding the cards here, right? That, they're the ones with the main interest, but there's still tough negotiations between Boca and LA Galaxy.
Yeah, because the thing is that Boca, listen, the window already closed in Europe, right? If they want to put the player in Europe, now that he has to go through surgery and 2 months of recovery, he will need to play somewhere to go to Europe for the next window, because no team in Europe is going to pay right now to get a player that is going to sit down and go to the get a surgery and go to the recovery process for 2 months. They need results now. If you want that to happen, he needs to play. Where he's going to play? He already said, I don't want to stay in Argentina. And it's not only his mouth. I mean, he can change at some point. But you don't know how much pressure is from Boca fans every single day. And if you said nice and clear, I don't want to be here, those people are going to make sure that you're not there. They don't want anybody who open their mouth and say, I don't want to be here.
But I think so
it's a tough situation for him.
Yeah.
The other option would be Brazil.
Yeah, I think
that would be another option.
It's a tough situation for him, but I think it's also a tough situation for Boca Juniors because of how they're handling this whole situation. One, he doesn't want to play for you, and two, now he has to have surgery, right? So he's going to be out up to 2 months, right? Up to 2 months. So that wherever that falls, say he has surgery this week or wherever that falls in line, that's going to be up to the start of the MLS season, right? That could line up perfectly with the start. If Pavon for somehow comes back to the LA Galaxy, he may miss 1 or 2 weeks. And they say the MLS season is pushed back a week. He may not miss that much, right?
Let him miss a month.
He still doesn't miss any.
He still MLS.
Exactly. Yeah, he still doesn't miss that much.
No,
I think where it becomes difficult is Boca trying to push for 15 or whatever. How much more? It doesn't look like Galaxy are willing to go past 10.
No, that's why Galaxy is taking it slow, and relax and waiting for signals. Because at the end of the day, if he goes to surgery, it may be a point in which they by themselves, his agent and himself reach out and say, you know what, let's get it let's get this done because I
Yeah.
want to make sure that when I'm done with my recovery, I have somewhere to play right away. I
Yeah.
can't just wait and see what happens after that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be prolonged. It's been prolonged, right? Since like we're in February, you got 2 months now. Will probably be April, May. I can't do the math right now. And I think some of the things that makes it so tricky. Let me just ask you this thing: is like there's speculation out there that when Christian Pavon signed with the LA Galaxy, if the LA Galaxy didn't buy Pavon, that the amount of the loan, the 600,000 that Boca would have to pay the LA Galaxy because they didn't buy him. Obviously, that was done with the previous administration, with the previous Boca front office, and now there's new front office. What I'm told, I think there's going to be they're looking into it because the new administration did not know about that. So I think that also plays in part because if say Boca, let's just play this theory, say
It's
Boca
not,
owes LA Galaxy six
yeah,
hundred thousand, then LA Galaxy will like, hey, we'll offer you 8 million or we'll offer you 9 million. We'll just take that off of what you owe us. You know what I'm saying? So there's more
yeah,
pieces that
it all, comes into the same picture because it's not that the Boca had to pay to LA Galaxy back or anything. It's just that the agreement was that amount of money that they pay for the loan will be added to the money that LA Galaxy will pay, or if they actually use the clause and buy Pavon's rights. So if you had to pay 10 millions, we take away the 6,000 that you already paid. You had to pay 94. So that's the thing. Now, since they did not take the clause and buy the rights, now what is going to happen with that money? And that's what Galaxy will be looking into it, and Boca will be looking into it, because how the provisions of that contract, mention if that money goes back to LA Galaxy, and that's the kind of deals that happens when you loan a player. Look, Franco Escobar just went from Atlanta United to Newell's. Atlanta is not getting one dime to loan this player, okay, but they getting rid of their salary.
yeah.
Newell's is paying the whole salary.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and to me, it makes a lot of sense. I think the news just kind of broke just this last week because people didn't know, we didn't really know those details, right? And we didn't really see that Boco has been interested to come down in the negotiations with the LA Galaxy. Now, let me ask you this: if you're Boca and you're not going to get 15 or 12, where's a number? Let's just put it out there. Where's a number you think would be fair for both sides for Pavone, and just your thoughts.
anything between 10 and 11 is fair. I mean, I think actually 12. If you pay the 12, I don't think the LA Galaxy is doing bad business paying the 12.
I don't see
I mean,
Galaxy going up there
out of the
though.
12, you take out the 6,000, right? And
So 11,
start
11 4,
11, 4,
11.4.
exactly, something like that. I mean, or you may get into agreement of paying the 11, but if we are champions, then you get a bonus of this. And if he is going to be the MVP, then you got this bonus. That kind of, you structure the deal in that way.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I see. We know Boca is good at prolonging these negotiations, and I think we'll see what happens with these next 2 months. If once Pavone does have this surgery, because that's definitely what a player that they doesn't want to be there. The Galaxy, the only looks like the only people that are in the bar, the only ones that are interested, and Boca don't really want to negotiate at this moment with the prices that are thrown in them. But I think it's going to
Right.
be very interested to see what happens. But nevertheless, I know you got to go, John. It was a pleasure to have you on the show once again talking. Let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, sure. It's a J Rojas A75. That is on Twitter, and yeah, we can keep discussing there many things around MLS, LA Galaxy.
Yeah, definitely give John Rojas a follow on Twitter. He definitely knows what he's talking about and everything. Even though he doesn't let me get in a couple words here and there, but hey, he has a lot of knowledge and a lot of things he wants to talk about.
I
It's
talk
just
a
always
lot.
great to it's always great to have you on. Guys, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to give this a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can also listen to this on Spotify, or wherever you get your music. You guys can follow me at Gio Garcia LA on Twitter, and also be check us out on LA Soccer Hub on Instagram, Facebook, and all your social